Hello, hello. This is a review of a really important tool I use with everybody I work with. It's called the nightly checklist. It doesn't have to be a nightly checklist, but the reason I do call it the nightly checklist is that it's best done at the end of the day, right before bed. And it's also so easy to do because it is just a checklist. And let's talk about how we use it in my program and why it's important. So, in the Health Foundation program, it's extremely important that, most people need help ingraining new habits, especially classic example I would say is taking new supplements that they've never taken before, doing things daily, whether it is chewing your food every day, meditation, or some sort of movement routine or sleep hygiene activity, like going to bed early or going to bed at the same time every day. All of these things are single actions that build on each other week after week that we work together. But they don't build unless you actually do them. So, hence the checklist. And it's something you just print out. And at the very top, I always have an identity statement. So, while we work on our program together, of course, we have developed an identity statement. It is something that represents who you're becoming as you reach your health goals. And for example, I wrote this one for Jane Doe. Identity statement, classic profile of someone who comes in and works with me is you got some sort of pain that you really need to get rid of, chronic issues, whether it's digestive, hormonal, and often it comes with a lot of fatigue, a lot of pain. So, very common and wonderful, even though it's common, identity statement to start with is something like this. I'm a healthy, vibrant, and energetic woman who is wise enough to enjoy every day while I shoot for the moon. Why? Because I know no matter what, I'll land among the stars. It's a really good place to start for most people, especially because it has an element of it's not exactly about reaching the goal. It's about becoming a certain person while you're reaching the goal. Because, of course, like they all tell us, you gotta enjoy the journey. Because apparently it's not about the destination. But I still care about getting you to your goals. But if you don't enjoy the way, there's almost no way you'll do it. So, back to the next part of the checklist. So, once we've sort of outlined your identity statement and found something that sparks something within you that makes you really happy, makes you draws the best part of you out every day to make sure you take these actions, then I just have a little section here that reminds you of what the action is all about. So now what follows, all these things here are actions that you do Monday to Sunday that, as it reads here, represent the things, the activities, the behaviors that this kind of woman or man does. And let's just read it here. So the following checklist is a list of actions this kind of woman feels, does, and takes every day. Only keep the items on the list that you constantly show up for and do. Very important. And I'll touch upon that later. And ideally, you'll add or modify one new action or ritual, as I call them, every 90 days, because true automaticity only starts to come only really starts to come out at around the 90-day mark. And I'm saying, and the 90 days is an average that was picked up along a wide range where people were reporting that, it only took 28 days, 30 days, 40 days for things to feel automatic, all the way to the other end of the spectrum where people were saying it's, taking 120 days, 140 days, half a year for things to start being automatic. So the nice place to think about anything you want to change is that you want to keep anything you add to this list on here for at least 90 days. Because before that point, you haven't really proven to yourself that it's become automatic. And in fact, I would like you to keep things on here until you can really say to yourself, this feels automatic. I don't need to think about this anymore. I'm doing it every day. So that's that part. I'll mention a few more things about that later, but first let me give you some examples of very basic things I give people all the time. So here we have, of course, the first one is that I just want you to print this PDF out. And it is also in a Word document that I give to you as well, so you can edit very easily, however you like. And when you begin, I'd like you to, only print it out 1 week in advance, because you'll find that things change a lot as you're using it, and you'll find what feels best for you to commit to right now and what doesn't feel good. But back to what I was mentioning. So the first few classic ones that I always want to start with is, there are kind of sections here, as I'll show you. The first section here is kind of all about mindset and the activities that will help you harness the best energies from your mind to get to your goal. For example, the first one, I've read and committed to my identity today. What's the identity? It's this one, the one we identified before we even started the checklist. Okay, you've just read it and you've said to yourself, okay, I commit to this. You feel that deep within. And now the second one, very powerful, by the way, just that alone. Now, the second one, similarly, this is something that a lot of us need a reminder of. It's something about not rushing. It's something about taking a step back, reminding yourself to slow down. Because slow is smooth and smooth is fast, as you all know when you work with me. Now, that's why it reads, I remind myself to trust that there is always enough time. I settle into the bliss. And the bliss can be whatever you want, but mostly it's a sense of, relief. There is enough time. And most of the time when I think there isn't enough time, it's because I'm making up silly rules for myself to follow. Like, I won't be a good person if I don't do X this week, or do this every day this week. Usually it's never true. Now, those are some examples of the mindset. And here I also have added a meditation. I've also added a gratitude journal. This is also something some people need, some people don't. It's very bio-individual, as I call it. And then I usually start moving into more of the physiological habits that will really shift your biology as well. And that is here, as you see. I have a few examples. Here all the way to here. There's 4 examples of sort of physical habits that make a profound difference on your energy. So for example, you see here, I've made room in my schedule to eat at my own pace, mindful pace as well. It's very common people aren't taking enough time just to eat because everything has to happen now. Everything. There is no exceptions. And we gotta start making room in our lives for the things that matter, and learning how to give your body enough time to eat It's one of the most profound things that you can give your body and your health in recovering, especially if you have mood, fatigue, chronic conditions. Excellent place to start. Another example I have here is I've chewed every bite until it's smoothie-like. Great. I've smelled and tasted my meals is another one. And lastly, I took 3 deep breaths before all my meals today. These hopefully, and if you're snacking, this also includes snacks. And all these 3 especially are very sort of, I'd call them texture-based, feelings-based, because when we're eating, we're often in our heads, and often that can trigger stressful thought loops. And when you're stressed, if you've seen any of the any of the things I have to say on digestion, if you're stressed, your digestion just shuts off. It's as simple as that. So I really start most people on these habits of focusing on the sensations during eating or the conversation you're having with another person while eating. Get out of your own head is so powerful. Now, the other big thing that checklists are good for, especially if people are not used to taking supplements, is, well, taking supplements every day. And here we have some examples of, 2 examples of something that is great to take every day. Here's a Beam one, and here's your fat-soluble vitamin ADK. Very, very, very good place to start. Just the simple action of checking it off is a great reminder, and it's all you need. And let's see. Now, the other thing I usually have on here is also sort of in another kind of intake, not exactly a supplement, but it's hydration. So I've drank at least 2 liters of water. Like, the 2 liters might actually not be accurate for you. It depends on you and who you are, your by individuality, but 2 liters is a pretty good place for most people to start. And again, this is just a time in your day where you can ask yourself, okay, how did I do? Did I reach the mark? Yes or no? How far off was I? Check or no check? Very simple. And the last ones are usually sort of sleep, stress, and movement. So for this example, I have included a sort of a strength training and a sort of sweat-inducing exercise that is an excellent place to start for most people to get into the habit of doing. And this is an example of the checklist where you don't necessarily have to do this every day, but as you can see here, it says how many times a week you want to aim to do it. So for example, here it says 2. They both say 2 times. So if you do it on a Wednesday and a Friday, 2 checks, I'm happy. And you should be too. That's the goal. Let's see. And again, for the sleep, most of them are also daily. Sleep, I've slept at least 7 to 8 hours is a great place to start for most people. And anyhow, that's just an overview of all the things that I usually put for a classic energy, mood, or chronic condition client. Again, all of these are also very individualized, personalized, so to speak. And let's see here. So the only other thing I'd mention is that how you use this is very, very important. Almost more important than what you put on here. You want to establish a rule with yourself that if something's on here and you don't do it, then you must take your pen and circle the whole box. For example, if on a Monday you did not remember to read and commit to your identity, you just circle it so that at the end of the week, instead of having a check mark here, you'll see overall, you'll look at the whole thing and you'll see, black boxes or whatever color you're using, sort of, and it pops out at you and it tells you, hey, this is where I'm forgetting myself. And now it's time to do a little problem solving and figure out how I can do better next week. Or it can just be a reminder. Maybe all you do need is a reminder, especially in the first 3 weeks. But if it's persisting after 3 weeks, usually there's something deeper going on and we need to work through that, do some problem solving, simple stuff. Now, that would be the most important rule to follow. Other than that, the other important rule is if you stop doing something, for example, meditation, if you stop doing it, and you see like big boxes around most of the days of the week, and it's not getting any better, and in fact, you're not even feeling like you even think that it's that valuable for you right now, or it's valuable for you, but it just right now it would stretch you too much to commit to this for 90 days, then it's so important that you take it off the list. So important. We do not want to make this list fanciful, half-committed kind of thing. It's a very committed space for you to make sure you're taking all the actions that lead you to the kind of person you want to be and give you the health goals that you want. Energy, great mood, and all that spunk again, for most people. And maybe just no pain again. That's a great place to start. So again, if you're not doing it, just be honest with yourself. Be honest with me, because we often interact a lot in the beginning with how to use this together. Just say, hey, I'm not feeling like this is serving me at the moment. I'll probably pick it up again, in the spring and do a 90-day commitment to it then. And that's great. That's excellent. Take it off. And again, so I have these as a Word document or ODT file. So you can always just open it up in any Word editor that you have, highlight the things, delete, change, whatever you want. And then, of course, you print it off. How you keep this is also important. It's really valuable for most people, for example, to have it on some sort of clipboard. So I have my own kind of checklist, and it looks a little different, but it has a lot of the same elements to it. And it's really, really helpful to have it on a clipboard. And you can get these anywhere, office supply stores, etc. So you see that, it's really securely attached to something. I got a clipboard where I can also store them as I finish them. So do what feels really good, but the clipboard is just really convenient because you can keep it beside your bed. And then just before you're about to go to sleep, or an hour before, or when you're brushing your teeth, anytime, you start checking things off and then you're done. Real simple. And other than that, that would be all the nightly checklist instructions I have to share with you. And I would be remiss if I didn't emphasize how powerful the checklist is for most people. Not only is it a reminder to do actual things, but it's also a reminder of why you're doing it, because most of us forget. It's about how you get there and how much you enjoy getting there rather than getting there. Because we all know when we get there, there's always a new there to get to. And often you'll find yourself feeling a little disappointed that it wasn't as good getting there as you thought. Because of course the point was not to enjoy only the moment of getting there, but your whole life as you move through the obstacles of getting to your goals. And that should be everything. If I haven't gotten you this checklist already, just email me. No problem.